stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX. J-Way. I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless. I'm gone. Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck. Into the trends. See a lead, be the band.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Corner to Copa. We are here on Sunday, the eve of the trade deadline. Happy holidays to everybody who celebrates. The final shoe or the that we've been waiting to drop has finally happened. If you're watching on YouTube, you see the biggest trade, the biggest block, biggest piece of all in the trade deadline has finally got moved. And, we pretty much knew that was going to happen. So, we're going to take some time to touch on that. But before that, we'll talk about the week that was and what could have possibly led to us making that first sell move. The Detroit Tigers started off the week losing 2 of 3 to the Baltimore Orioles, a team that was directly ahead of us in the wild card. In a series that we definitely could have won, and offense has the offense is solid. They've held pretty for the most part held up to their end of the bargain. They lost the first game 8-5, so they did put up 5 runs themselves, but the pitching didn't hold up. We gave up a couple home runs. I think Kobe Mayo hit a home run. This was a rare rough outing from Kiter Montero. I jokingly said that we gave him too much praise the Sunday before, and he gave up a couple home runs. Let's see here. Kobe Mayo, Leody Taveras, and Tyler O'Neill. Kiter gave up 6 runs and 4 1/3. So not a strong effort from him. Oh man, yeah, that was the game where the squirrel was running around, and because we were all thinking, in our heads we're thinking we need a strong week this week to solidify any chance that we might try to buy or hold on to Skubal. So for us to come out against Baltimore, a team that's mid, not great, kind of in middle territory of what direction they're going to go in, for us to come out and give up 8 runs to them at home after losing to Kansas City, which was also a disaster. It didn't look good, but in typical fashion, we bounced back the next day, scored 14 runs, and then the conclusion, get off to a big lead on a day game, the final Tarik Skubal. It was the possible Tarik Skubal last game in Detroit, and he got to get a little a final look at what being a Tiger can be sometimes. Where we score a bunch of runs, he scores none, but he does allow the next bullpen guy, I think it was Finnegan, to inherit a couple different runs, and ultimately we lose in extra innings, pretty much putting a nail in the coffin of us holding on to Skubal. But I think that was pretty much all in the works. So overall, Orioles series, what were your feelings, thoughts? What was going on for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a series that we knew heading in was going to have direct impact chasing the wild card standings. So, I mean, a win of the series was the baseline. You couldn't do worse than that. And after a crazy first 2 days, why not? That Wednesday matinee ended up being identical to the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the last 48 hours of that series. But that was deflating. I mean, like you said, 1,000 strikeouts. Looked like, okay, we're going to roll the rest of the way of this game, heading out west, still hanging on to, a shred of hope that maybe it's not a sell, but full well knowing, as we talked about a lot offline, that from a luxury tax standpoint and comp standpoint, it would make no sense to not trade him and buy, and then you only get a 4th round comp pick for him, and then you're really in the jackpot. But that's the thing, though. This team was so far from being a contender that risk, although some people may say it's moot, a few rounds of 1 pick, big deal. But I mean, considering what we did get back and what that pick could be, a complete flop. I mean, yeah, you're talking about a potential impact player or two. So it makes sense, but they gave him his flowers when he walked off school. That is, you could tell too that he knew it would seem like a foregone conclusion the way he handled it. And I don't recall a curtain call him coming out. I could be wrong on that, but all things considered, it was a very tumultuous last few weeks, and even for the guys in the clubhouse. So it's equally disturbing as it was for them to lose that game and drop the series. I think it had a much more ripple effect than the rest of the guys in the clubhouse, because Scuba knows, like, hey, I know it's done. It's over. I did what I was supposed to do. Now the rest of the guys are like, well, now we're going to be left holding the bag of whatever's left. So off day yesterday on Thursday, and now they're looking for the sweep against the Las Vegas / Sacramento / etc. Athletics. But yeah, it's the kind of team they've been. Yeah, they've had a good last 65 days, but that May was so bad that they got to where they're at now, and Harris has to be a seller.
Yeah, so the tail end of the Baltimore game, I can't remember what inning it was. Vierling hits one in the gap, rounds second base, and comes up lame at third base. So the question is, what's the move going to be? We got 1 day in between. We had an off day, like you said, on Friday, and what is going to be the result of it? So a lot of people, I think a lot of the thought process was, probably going to be Outman. Let's speed ahead. The announcement's been made. Max Clark has been called up. The move that we've all been waiting for quite some time. He's been hot in AAA, so he's held up to his end of the bargain. So there was much speculation of who it might be, and they end up just DFAing the relief pitcher that was added to our team a couple weeks ago that never saw the light of day in the major leagues. Outman survives to see another day, but Max Clark is input right into center field in Sacramento to make his debut. And he's been everything that we could have asked for. Was extremely, confident at the plate as far as, knowing balls and strikes. I saw him, spin on a couple pitches that were kind of in the zone, like in the, the general vicinity. But, we knew going into this that was going to be one of the things that he was going to be able to do. And first at bat, I think he took 4 straight pitches for a walk right out the gate. But, he's flashed everything that we've seen. He's hit a couple of balls the opposite way. He's tracked some balls down in the outfield. And yesterday he hit a massive bomb, about 400. I think it was like 410 feet. It was a breaking ball. Kind of got beat on it a little bit, but just dropped the bat hand. Didn't even look like a full swing, but he just drove that pitch to right field. But yeah, man, what have you seen, and could you have imagined that it would have been this good right out the gate?
I mean, that's kind of what we were hoping for. Obviously, a little redemption from the fiasco that was spring training. And I think the haters and the old heads did a very good job beating that horse to death. So we're not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. And frankly, I was hoping he was wearing 4 chains in his debut. That's how I feel about that. Impressive. I think the stat was the only other before this year, the Detroit Tigers only had 1 player make their debut under 21 years old to have multiple hits, including 1 extra base hit. And that was, we hate to say it, Billy Beane in 1986. From 1901 to 2025, 1 player. This year they've had 2, in McGonigal and Max Clark, game 1 of their debuts. almost identical stats, really. But that home run, we talked about it offline. I was watching that. I think he was definitely sitting more fastball and was able to pick up the spin of the sweeper that he threw, and he delayed his hands long enough to drag that barrel of the bat, like delay it in the impact zone long enough to where then when he recognized the pitch type specifically, he just kind of flicked his wrist through the rest of the way just to get enough launch. Because on live, I thought that thing was like 40 feet over the fence. It sounded and had the trajectory of just Nuke City, like 440. But it just went over the fence by about 15 feet or so, because I think the right fielder made a play on it. But I think that's your point about him and McConnell, because they grew up in the farm system together. They have both such an uncanny eye, and the fact that Dingler kind of developed it on his own because he didn't really come up with any of those guys. He's quite a bit older. You've got the making of three of some of the most dynamic hitters on this team that almost kind of make it like a new core. I know I'm getting off topic a little bit here, but Max Clark, in terms of production, this is the power we need. He's got speed that we've missed in Parker, honestly, on the base paths too. So once he gets settled into the box, I think you'll start to see him take some more chances on the base paths. And like he said in the postgame interview after his debut, you know, I want to get out there, get on base, and make people mad, create chaos. We're here for it.
Yeah, so there's a look of it. I mean, he cleared the little bullpen. I mean, they got onto the berg or whatever they call that. So he gave it a ride. And did they already put 387? Okay, I embellished a little bit, but yeah, that was just a cool experience because you could hear in the audio, you could hear McGonigal, who was like I think he was on the bench. You could hear him because McGonigal led off the game with the home run. This is your future right here. Lead off, you know, and eventually Clark is probably going to be at the top of the lineup as well. But yeah, I mean, the youth movement is here. We're going to talk about it a little bit more, but you know, we have our thoughts about Scott Harris and what he's done. But one thing that we can definitely say is that he knows how to draft a little bit and he knows how to develop, and his players are starting to, you know, they're starting to, you know, whatever progression that he's moving these guys through, you know, they're starting to make some noise. You know, because Clark back when we kind of gave him hell about, you know, picking all these high school kids, because we could have had Wyatt Langford and he's had a little bit of a career thus far, but you know, now, you know, Max Clark, who was drafted at 18 years old, is now 21, and he's not a finished product, but he's arrived and he's not wasting any time. He's getting right to it. And you know, we can't forget about Hyo Lee. That was a trade that he made as well. We got a lot of young guys. I mean, Valencia's hitting for something right now in you know, small doses, but yeah, so the Tigers have won the first two games of the series against the A's. They've both been kind of blowouts. This game yesterday was a little closer than it had to be because we were up 8-2, and then they hit a 3-run home run, whoever it was. So, but yeah, back. You know, we're already back in it. You know, to me, you know, I made the statement that, you know, we might even with selling guys like Skubal and Mize and Torres, you know, given the way our young guys have played, we might be able to at least tread water. Now, I don't know, you know, we'll have to see what happens. We've also played the A's recently, the Royals recently, the Orioles, and then the A's again. So that's kind of not a great, you know, number of teams. But you know, the young guys that are coming up, and there's still some guys coming because you know, at some point, you know, if Gleyber Torres gets moved, Max Anderson probably gets pushed up as well. So and then Hyo Lee's just going to play more. He'll probably be the everyday second baseman. But I guess we can kind of get to how do you feel the team is going to lay out once once some of these guys get moved. I'm going to see if I can find the lineup that's today's lineup.
Yeah, I mean, they got Riley's getting the day off. I think we noted offline that he's really had a tough last 30, 35 days. So, it's really going that skittish when you had 2 in 7 days, calendar days. You've got 2 travel days, and you're still getting a day off. There's not many games being played. So, but yeah, in terms of Glaber being moved and frankly, Jensen, who for me is just like a non-factor, really. He's just there, It's like beast mode. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Instead, after last night, who knows? Jensen could get fined for that little hoo-ha there. Yeah, I mean, you lose some veterans, but let's be real here. You still have Javi. Dingler and Valencia are 26, 27. They've been around in terms of leadership. You keep forgetting Riley's not as old as he might or veteran as he is. He's only 24, 25. Yeah, he's a vet. He's just not like I don't want to say the old guard like Scooble and those guys 29, 30 like
not Jake Rogers. He's not
he's like a tweener. He's a tweener there. But so they'll lose some of that, but frankly, some of these guys just need to play. They just need to kind of figure out, get some good reps in against some good and not so good major league team, just kind of see in a sample size of what they can bring for whatever happens after next year and the almost what looks like an inevitable lockout looming ahead of us. And that's kind of the dynamic. It's like, what do you want this team to be? Like, I don't mean that as projecting from like a front office standpoint of us being in their shoe. I mean, you and I as fans, do we want this team to full sell and still, get rid of it as what we can? Because we really could shed a lot of payroll and suddenly have a lot of money to pull similar type of McGonigal or Cole Keith-like contracts over the next 5 to 6 years without really worrying about what the new CBA is going to look like if we get it around the same value. Now you've got your core for the next 5 to 6 years. And I think starting whenever the new CBA begins, that in the next 4 to 5 years is going to be this team's window to go on a run if they can fix their bullpen and whatnot. But what do you want them to do? Because they could do nothing more at the deadline. They've gotten under the tax threshold. They just can't really be any serious buyers for anyone without asking that team to take on some of their salary.
Well, if you don't do anything else, I'm assuming you're still trying to win because, we'll get to the Scooble trade, in a little bit, but I mean, guys like Glaber hit a home run yesterday. He's hit 2 since he's been back, which has been a week he's been back. So he's been a pretty big part of us, been a shot in the arm as far as our offense is concerned. I love the fact that, Eduardo Valencia is going to be playing a decent amount. Like I said, he's hitting like 400. I think he hit a home run, not a home run. He got a hit yesterday in a pinch hit opportunity. So he's been pretty good outside of, I think he went 0 in one of those Baltimore games. Torque is still here. How you lead? You're starting third baseman. He's gonna get a decent amount of time. And we'll obviously get more if Torres gets moved. Obviously, Clark's going to play center field every night for the foreseeable future. I didn't even talk about it yet. Ben Maljury hit his first home run on Friday, and then of course gets sat the day after because it's like, it's your debut. Yeah, and I think he hit it versus the righty, so I don't, but they elected to go with Zach McKinstry, who we looked up into the numbers and had a good game the last time he faced the pitcher. Springs? Was Springs the guy that pitched yesterday, or was
he's had actually a decent week, surprisingly, despite all the shortcomings the team has had. Zach is finally starting to. I'm not going to push it, but I'll say he is becoming less of a detriment with the bat this week. It is.
Yeah. So, Javi gets the day off, but he's been pretty solid as well. So, I mean, we got a lot of guys that are surging right now, but it's just fun to see a lot of our young guys, finally get an opportunity and, just giving us that youth resurgence. I mean, you would think that as we push these veterans out and get younger, there might be some struggles, but a lot of these guys have obviously been pushed and, progressed along in the right pace because, I'm not mad at a Maljury playing when I see him. He's not like, I'm a little more encouraged by him than Vierling at this point. And I'm certainly, there was a period of time where we saw Outman in the lineup every single day. But Max Clark is now, playing that role, and he's already just that fast, a much more favorable name to see in the lineup every day. So where is he? He's in the, so he moved up to the 6th hole. He started in the 7th hole, but now he's in the 6th hole. So yeah, Haiuli in the 5 hole. You got, oh no, Clark is still in the 7th hole. You got but you got Valencia in the cleanup spot. So that's the role he was playing in AAA. And ironically enough, most of these guys were in double in AAA last year. McGonigal, Erie, Valencia, Erie in AAA, Haiuli, Toledo, Clark, Erie, Maljury, AAA. That's what 7 out of the 9 guys hitting today have less than a year of service time, and the lineup looks good. It's not like, oh, look who we got out there. So yeah. Any other words about the A series before we take a break and talk about the biggest story?
Yeah, I mean, if they do move Glaber, and they do nothing else, obviously, I think Torkel, because it's too early to talk Valencia first base. That's going to be an off-season development to his bag defensively. In a perfect world, I'd like to see him kind of snag as a primary backup, or to Dylan, obviously, and still lean on him while you got him in healthy, and then platoon more with Torque. But you could kind of slide that back and forth, and then beyond his team control. But yeah, I think that opens up the door for Zach to play less outfield, frankly, when Vierling comes back. Because looking at it beyond the end of the year, it's like the outfield would ideally be Riley, Max, and I think Maljury would get the nod, assuming you do nothing in the offseason. And then a healthy Parker and Vierling off the bench would be your lefty-righty kind of defensive ish, or whatever you want to do with that. I think that's still a pretty good outfield group without having to go out and spend money for another bat. But there's power, there's speed, obviously not counting Parker right now, but there's some makings of an outfield group that could be, depending on what they do with Riley in a few years, a very valuable and inexpensive group that could free up some other spots for corner infield. But I mean, Valencia, I think we've talked about it. Valencia and Lee, man, if you're trying to win, you got to keep these guys' bats in lineup somehow. You got to figure out a way. AJ, put your pride aside and your system aside. You've got to ride the hot bats. If you're really trying to win, my man, you got to ditch your system, and you got to let the kids play. You got to let them play and figure it out in situations and let them learn a little bit, and go with the old school touch and instinct method. And I think if he takes a little bit more of that approach going forward, you could see this team really put it on offensively. It's just going to be the bullpen.
That's what it's going to come down to. And there's nothing
runs the game.
Outside of Jackson Jobe. There's nothing really waiting in the wings that we can lean on. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to talk the Skubal trade. All right, so mid-game, we get an announcement that Tarik Skubal has been officially moved. I don't think he was even in the dugout. I think they pretty much already knew what was going on. But yeah, he was officially moved yesterday for 3 players. Zaire Hope, Brady Smith, and River Ryan. What are your early thoughts? I'm going to pull up some of these graphics of these guys, but what is your initial feeling when seeing? Because there was a couple of different reports. Hope got pulled from the game, and then I can't remember his first name, but George, another prospect, got moved as well. We thought that another pitcher might have been involved, but what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, some of the early reports were George Kendall and Emmett Sheehan being the pitcher. That was kind of the focus, because you had conflicting reports released practically simultaneously between Jeff Passan and Bob Nightingale, who are both respective baseball experts and insiders in their own right. And I think for a large body of their work, they do a very good job in reporting accurate information. So, you know, could have been a little accidental slip or a draft that was preloaded, ready to go, you know, got to be first. But, you know, I didn't like it as much at first, just first glance without really looking at anything. I think I had it around like a C- if we're giving it a letter grade. But looking into it a little bit more and then kind of fully appreciating from both sides of the sliding variables that normally aren't accompanied with a normal trade deadline. You know, with the expiring CBA, I know we talk about it a bit here, but you know, it's not going away anytime soon. So, not knowing what's beyond that and what the Dodgers could offer him based on the new constraints, if there is or is not a floor cap, they have to take that into a factor. And Skubal's had three elbow surgeries, 3 major surgeries, and he will be 31. If they don't play next year, he's going to go into Dodgers 31 going on 32. So there's a risk there that they're going to be taking if they do sign him, but I don't money aside, ain't no problem for them. But I think as you've pulled up here, the stud piece that they did finalize a trade for, Zaire Hope, the thought process is that he's a top 25 overall player. I think he's number 25 overall. Exactly. I get different place. Like here, they got him 57, but
yeah, that is
because like River Ryan's technically top 100 in some and not in the other. That's why I gave it a C-. But I think the young kid, because he's high A, he's not projected
Brady Smith,
three more years. Brady Smith.
Yeah,
I think they can take their time with him. And to your point earlier that you alluded to, nice little drop there. If they continue to develop him, you could potentially get 2 out of the 3 home runs. And I think for what Skubal had done and what the team had done, not winning much of his starts, I think this resets the team window for the next potentially 5 years with Hope and Brady Smith, and River Ryan being the wild card. Also 26, 27, arm surgery as well. On the IL currently with the hamstring. I know I'm stealing some of your minor league report thunder in it, but it's bleeding all over the place here. So, but yeah, I've kind of upgraded that to a C+, and I think that can get up to like a B+, A- down the road when Hope and Brady Smith end up kind of revealing who they are in that time.
Yeah, I mean, here's a situation. We weren't going to fleece the Dodgers. They held all the cards. They, you know, of course they wanted Skubal. We knew that they had the most to give up, or they had the most. When you have such a talented team, but you also have such a multitude of prospects, you can't hang that over their head, because if we just say, oh well, we're not giving up Skubal, well, okay, we're still the Dodgers, so you're not hurting us by holding on to a pitcher that's going to eventually leave and come to us anyways. So we didn't really hold, you know, we didn't have the ace in the hole. And what else was I gonna say? Yeah, and then the fact that we waited so long, you know, if we had started talks a month ago, you know, it would have been more value. But now you get to Saturday night before Monday, you know, Sunday morning, before Monday evening, you're in a scramble trying to get stuff done. So, you know, when it was all said and done, we wanted a controllable arm that's like ready now. We wanted a top 100 prospect, and then possibly another throw-in. So, you know, you weren't gonna. They had enough levers to where they're like, well, you're not getting our number 1 prospect. You're not getting our top 4 prospect, but you can have Zaire Hope, and you know, you're not going to be disappointed with him. You know, he's got some good upside. He's got some raw power. He's 21 years old. He's already in Double-A. You know, I think he hit like 2 home runs the other day. I mean, he is a legitimate prospect that could possibly compete for a roster position as soon as, you know, next spring, if there is a next spring. So, you know, I don't think that we got shorted, you know, as far as that's concerned. But obviously, yeah, it's going to be in the current moment. Obviously, they win. They get a 2-time Cy Young Award winner that was going to do minimal for us. Who knows how the rest of the year plays out. We'll just have to see how River Ryan looks in his next, once he does get here. He did make his debut in 2024, and I think he had an ERA of let me see. I think he had like 4 appearances, and
yeah,
pull it up here.
Essentially, he got hurt and had TJ. That's what he's been coming back from, and then.
Which, the fact that he's 27 years old, it's like, okay, well, I mean, part of the reason why he hasn't gotten to play that much is because you got Blake Snell and Glass now, and and Yoshi and Roki. I mean, if he was playing for the Marlins, he would have been pitching every day, but because they're so loaded, they had to stash a guy that's got a 1.33 ERA, 1-0. There's only 5 rotational spots. So when you play for the Dodgers, you just don't get that many opportunities. But yeah, like you said, he missed all of last year with Tommy John surgery, and now he's back. And we'll eventually see, his bullpen. I mean, his minor league numbers in previous years have looked pretty good. And as you can see, he's the number 4. It says number 6 ranked prospect in LA. So 27 coming off TJ. So not your prototypical number 6 prospect, but number 6 prospect nonetheless. So
he's anything but prototypical. I don't know if you knew this. He was a two-way player. He was a position player all the way through, and then he added on pitching after the fact. So he's really kind of recreated his career here. And the fact that he's the 6th or 7th, depending on what you're looking at, list of internal organization rankings, that's impressive. I mean, so he's an athlete. He's a gamer. And I'm pretty sure Skubal was 26, 27, 3 or 4 years ago when he had his TJ. So we're on the same timeline. All right. Let's go.
That's
Future
true.
Cy Young winner loading.
as you said, Skubal's going to be 31 if if there's a stoppage in place. So yeah, he's pretty much Skubal didn't really hit the scene running until he was in his mid-20s. And he was drafted round 11. So similar to Skubal, because Skubal was drafted out of Seattle University or something like that.
He was even later, I thought, like 13th, 17th round. Yeah,
it was later. So hopefully we'll get a couple chances to see River Ryan before the year is up. He reported to he's being designated for assignment to AAA, and he's rehabbing that hamstring injury. I don't know how long he's been injured or when the last time he actually pitched, but outside of that, Zaire Hope is now your number 2 prospect behind only Max Clark, who's about to graduate. He'll probably never see AAA again, if we're being honest. So as far as him being a number 5 prospect on LA, he's also our number 1, number 2 prospect in our system, which is the most important. Is what is he to us? Obviously, the Dodgers have the best or one of the best farm systems. So and then we'll just see what we'll keep a close eye on Brady Smith. But overall, for him to be a rental, somebody that the Dodgers will get for 2 months. Obviously, if they resign him, that's their business. They still had to come off of 3 solid players for that to happen. So in the interim, Dodgers win. Obviously, they get a 2-time Cy Young that's going to pitch Tuesday or something. I don't know. But in the long haul, we'll see what happens. And beyond that, we'll just have to see what else, transpires up and, what else transpires. So any other parting words for the trade?
Yeah. What were your, did you have any more thoughts on Zaire Hope? I mean, I know we kind of broke down what he kind of brings to the table, but in terms of his fit within the team, Riley's under control through what would be 2 more seasons after this year before he's eligible for free agency. And then you would still have, Parker around, who's got control for 2 more years, and Vierling, who's still under control for, I think, 1 more year. So, you now have a little bit of some blocking, if you will. I'm not going to call it firm blocking, obviously, really ain't stopping anybody. But there's going to be some interesting decisions to be made. And obviously Max Clark is going to be, if it's him and Parker still on the roster, those who are owning center field for the next foreseeable future. So where do you see him fitting in, given his attributes in the current roster as it is?
So, he's got a pretty high ceiling. He's reporting to Erie, so we'll get an opportunity to see, immediately how he meshes with everybody down there. But he is another power hitting left-handed hitter to go along with everybody else in the outfield: Meadows, Green, Carpenter. We have a Clark. We have a litany of left-handed hitters, but as of right now, we don't have a firm everyday. It's kind of right now it's been McKinstry and Maljury, playing right field, as is. Obviously when Carpenter comes back, that'll be his role. But moving forward, I've floated the idea out there many times. If Carpenter has any value or anybody that we can pair him with to go and get something, getting a bullpen arm or something like that. We have a couple different guys that can, that right field role. We got Vierling under control. We got Maljury. And then eventually, Hope will be in that mix as well. So no need to rush him. If he's just, hitting, tearing the cover off the ball as he's been as of lately, no rush. No reason to slow him up, because as you can see, we've done a pretty good job of figuring out who's ready, who's not, because nobody has really fallen on their face outside of Trey Cruz, who's older. He's already 26. They slow rolled him for a reason. They felt that it made his development wasn't there. But other than that, Valencia has hit the ground running. Lee has hit the ground running. McGonigal has 100% hit the ground running. Clark's thus far has hit the ground running. They've done a pretty good job of easing these guys into a role. And, even Wenzel Perez, when he first got here, the only thing that's really stopped him is injuries. Other than that, he was pretty solid out the gate. So, and that's another right field corner outfielder that we have. So I think that we're going to be back in another situation where we have, more corner outfitters than we need, because Green plays every day. He's not, you're not subbing him in and out of the lineup, although he does got the day off today. I think that, with the emergence of Zaire Hope, you're going to have a guy that has the ceiling that a Maljury doesn't have. I don't think there's any rush to move him. I don't think, we're not going to see him. We're not going to see him this year, obviously, but the next couple of years, depending upon what his momentum is going into the season, I could see him getting a camp invite. I think he got a camp invite to LA, and that's LA. So, the young, I feel like, since we're not a team that's going to spend a boatload of money, they're going to lean on their younger players giving us the push that we need. Scott Harris has not spent money with the bats. Now he has with the pitchers, and he's done a horrid job of that, by the way, as you know. Alex Cobb, Justin Verlander,
Kenta Maeda.
Oh my God, I forgot. Tommy Kahnle.
Tommy Kahnle. Let's just say now, Kahnle Jansen, for all it's worth right now, it's there.
John Brebbia.
17 million, whatever. Brebbia. Oh my goodness.
Framber had a decent outing last night, but he gave up 9 hits, a lot of hard contact, but only 2 runs though.
We could probably do better with a AAA guy, honestly, in terms of consistency, or something a little more close to consistent. But I'll give him a little more time, because obviously he's gonna be here next year. So adjustment year, we'll call it. But all the trade acquisitions: Seawold, Paddock, Bassett. I mean, it's the geriatric club, 40 and over only.
Has he hit on any free agents? Pitching
I don't consider Glaber a hit, considering what we, everyone was gassing him up, MVP votes. Okay, I said it. Tiny ballpark won't translate. Not a great glove. Refuses to play anywhere else. I think that's a bust. He's done a good job from an OPS standpoint. He's a good locker room guy. All right, I'll give him some
on base. He's getting on base at the top of the lineup.
Right, but the problem is we have too many guys. Yeah, it just for what. But I'll say this. I'll walk it back briefly, and I'll say the qualifying offer for this year was straight ass. We overpaid by almost 90% over the market value for a guy who has played for what, half the year, if that, so far. But yeah, I mean, I did kind of lose a train of thought there, but
well, as far as successful free agents, I mean, Glaber has, when healthy, he was an all-star last year. Let's stop there. He was an all-star.
I'm going to pull up a good one. He wasn't there for long. Carson Kelly, only a year and a half or so.
Oh man, Carson Kelly was a hit, man.
And we shipped him out. So
yeah.
I think all in all that was good. He kind of peaked. We got some value for him, and he's still doing all right. He's still around in the league. I think
we got Liam Hicks for him. That's the funny part.
Yeah. And now he's having a great year. Liam's having a pretty good year. I think he's on the trade block as a potential trade chip. So, but yeah,
I think it's a testament. Even though we didn't hold on to Liam Hicks, that's a testament to. Scott Harris had to have said, "Oh, I like this Liam Hicks guy. Give us him for Carson Kelly." So, or was he in the Chafin deal?
No, it was a Chafin deal.
Because where did
You're right?
Kelly?
Because we had two separate trades. We had two separate trades. Remember, there were different days. They were within like 10 days of each other, but we had two trades of the same team in Texas. Because it was weird. It was like they're like, oh, actually, we want a little bit more for this trade. Like, well, it's been a week later, so we need something else. But as a whole, his free agency signings have been, I'd say, 90% failure rate, and that might be a little conservative. Especially if you look Drew Anderson this year, he had a good June, and then after that, all around it, awful.
And is going to do whatever.
As long as he doesn't give up.
He's no Maeda, he's no Cobb. He's available. I gotta respect that because he's the only pitcher, knock on wood, that hasn't been on the IL. Everybody else, Melton, Skubal, Mize, Flaherty has been on the IL twice this year, I think.
He was just on the alternative list, the suspension list, the naughty.
Oh yeah, the naughty list, and yeah. So, but other than that, he's available and ready to go. He's out there sweating and all that shit. But he's around.
We sweat, man. I sweat. That boy sweats more than I do. Yeah. That's saying something for me.
That's a big boy.
Look, we got in the building.
Yeah, Troy in the building. Oh, we chilling, man. I'm excited. To watch this final game, man. I'm gonna get us out of here before that, but
we're both drowning our sorrow and celebrating at the same time.
It's funny because we're realist enough to not even be like, oh man, we didn't keep. You know what I mean? Like it was so like, all right, well, who do we get? Let's get straight to the real, man. We knew this day would come. We knew that he wasn't going to, we knew he was leaving.
I mean, look, if he didn't trade him by the deadline, let's just say it now, would you fire him? If you were Chris Ilitch and he didn't trade him and did nothing else in terms of selling, try to recoup something, would you have fired him?
Because
essentially,
because he smoked off the Eduardo Rodriguez deal. His last deadline was horrible. Morton, Paddock, Montero, Finnegan. I mean, Finnegan was a good move, but most of those moves were awful. So he had to nail this one. I mean, most people are not going to say that he just nailed it down, but this is a rental. This is a rental trade. Had we traded him this winter, now granted, I might have been a little disappointed. I was much more excited about us going out and getting a Framber, going out and getting a Verlander. We were one bat away from him completely killing this offseason. But at any rate, Framber hasn't been amazing. Verlander hasn't played. And yeah, so the and then Jansen
180.
Jansen's another one that really killed us this year too. So
you just hit it right in the head. You hit it on the head. 4 of your starting 5 that you signed before game 1 are no longer to be on this roster or just dead arm.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't really put that on him not trading, because I was much more all about let's go all in, win the division, because on paper we look good. Now he leaned on Perez and Vierling and Meadows, those guys working out, and they're all on the hospital table right now. So yeah, he had to nail this deal, and we'll just have to see in the long haul, but not too long haul. River Ryan we'll see soon. We'll see Hope at the next spring training, whenever that is. Well, we'll see him in Erie in a couple of days. So but I do have faith in his ability to develop and develop prospects and evaluate. That much I do have faith in. He just has to get better at buying at the deadline and free agency. He's done pretty terrible with that. So but that's it. But I did pull up the standings for a reason. I wanted to give everybody an update to where we stand right now, because right now we are in a decent place. We are 53 and 58, still 5 games under 500, 5.5 back of the division, but only 2.5 back of the Twins and Guardians. And it looks like the Twins are actually the hottest team in the division. I thought it was going to be us, but the Twins are buying, and we're going to get to that. I don't want too much time to go. Hold on, let's see. He said I want a Sheehan. Yeah, Sheehan is yeah.
Yeah, I did too. And well, Nightingale reported Sheehan, and that's where you and I were getting confused at midnight last night. Like, wait,
Right.
Who is it? I was all geeked about Sheehan. I'm like, sweet. If it's Sheehan and Hope, I honestly didn't care who the third player was, because those would have been 2 like top tier 1 A-lister guys.
Right. And Troy says it's going to hurt a lot more for me if Glaber goes too. He's one of my favorites. That's what everybody keeps saying.
I understand, like, good guy. There's more to be desired.
Yeah. I mean, when he's healthy, he's been good. We already know why he fell off last year. It was the hernia. Because like I said, every time he comes off the IL, he takes off. Home run out the gate. Hit another one yesterday. I think he hit one. The one in Tampa was probably the furthest one I've seen him hit since he was a Yankee. He's a good baseball player, and he made a beautiful, diving catch yesterday. So when he's feeling good, he is a good top of the lineup bet. He might re-sign with us. I don't know. Let me
No. He's signing up for $20 million. We're definitely firing Harris. I don't care what happens this year.
Yeah, no, yeah, and I don't know if anybody's gonna pay him that.
Well, then you better trade Max Anderson, because you're blocking him for the next 3 years, at least 3-4 years. I don't have
a read yet on how they. You have certain guys that they are high on. I don't know how high they are on Max Anderson. But he is.
He's expendable. We'll get into that later, but I think as of it is now, with the draft they had this year and who they've got coming up, and Bryce Renier looking absolutely sizzling like he's picking up from last year prior to his injury. Yeah, they're loaded up the middle. And
you got Lee
specifically.
McGonagall's not going anywhere. Colt's still around. You got some guys for sure,
bro. I looked at it last night for Colt. Sorry to cut you off real quick.
No,
I knew when we signed Colt, I thought we were overlapping some of his arbitration years, which generally clubs don't do because it's obviously a better value for them. It's an true extension after his arbitration. We have him through 2031. So only McGonagall is with us longer contractually right now into 2030 and beyond.
That's crazy. And yeah, wild card, 2.5 games back of the final spot. So we are in the thick of things, and look at all these guys in the red and differential, and here we are at 52. The third best differential in all of baseball. I mean, it's worth nothing. It means nothing, but it's crazy though. That's crazy to me.
But we've been on it since the beginning. After the first 60 days, that offense was down, and that's pretty much stayed consistent. Offense has stayed down, strikeouts are up, but weirdly walks are up too. So it's like, what in the hell is actually going on?
Yeah, it's weird. But we had those games where we scored 13 runs for no apparent reason, and we can't spread them out better. But let's take our last break, and then we'll see what we got going on in the last half, last portion. All right. So what are we talking about next? The rest of the league and the other trades we got going on?
Let's do it this way. I'll do the injury / transactions, and then I'll lead that into the league-wide trades. Starting, we'll start with the initial one of our own when we axed Jemai, and that became official as a trade with Boston. But first things first, in terms of the Detroit's own roster in the past week, obviously Carpenter was put on the 10-day IL on the 27th. They recalled Valencia on the 28th. Javi was activated, and this is all crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we feel like we've been in this for a minute. Some of these feel like it's been well over a week ago. Like Jake Rogers getting DFA'd feels like a mile ago at this point, which is nuts. But Javi was activated, as we alluded to. Jake Rogers was DFA'd, eventually traded to or claimed by Baltimore. At the same day, the Hinch announced that he expects Flaherty to be on the IL longer than his 15 days when it's up, which would be the August 12th. He was placed on it July 28th, so it'd be 15 calendar days. So does not sound like we will get him back until maybe the end of the month, which would be a blow if we do successfully trade Mize. That would leave 4, with JV still being on IL, 4 of your opening day starters not in the rotation anymore. On the 30th, we acquired Zane Barnhart, who it was the other part of the Jake Rogers deal from Baltimore, and it was assigned to Double-A Erie. On the 31st, Vierling, as you alluded to, rounding second base for a triple, which probably could have been an inside the park home run if it was not for his injury. 10-day IL and recalled lefty Emmanuel de Jesus, who I thought was doing a pretty good job before he was optioned down last time. So hopefully provide some stability, because Drew Summers has been absolute booty cheeks the last couple of weeks, leaving only Tyler Holton as the only legitimate lefty in the bullpen to boot right now. Same day they purchased Max Clark, who we all know had his debut, and they cut the Andre Granillo, the guy they signed to the roster formally 2 weeks earlier. Also announced that Will Vest, unfortunately, another bullpen arm down for the year. Elbow and hip surgeries will be done at different times. I put a low stock on him coming back at all and being effective. He's gone through it like Alex Lang did over the last year and a half, 2 years. And it's just tough, but hopefully he can try and do something for next year and be ready to go. And then obviously the trade. So the fallout from the Skubal trade here, transaction-wise, River Ryan was optioned to Toledo and placed on the minor league injured list with that hamstring injury that Foster alluded to earlier. Zaire Hope also sent to Erie, and Brady Smith sent to West Michigan Whitecaps. And formally today, with the announcement of Skubal being taken off the 40-man, Brent Hennefy was recalled for additional bullpen help for the matinee in Sacramento today. Anything you want to know in terms of injuries? I think there's been no update on Birch Smith from last week after he was taken out and shut down after some discomfort. But I did see that Wensiel Perez was also sent to Lakeland to begin a rehab stint as well. So any thoughts on the collective news of just roster shakeups?
Wait, so he's resumed? So he's starting rehab, or is he about to start playing in Lakeland?
No, he is starting a rehab assignment. They sent him to Lakeland just I think last night. So okay. I don't know how long he'll be down there for, but yeah, he's missed a good 30 days already as it is, and so probably just needs to get some some reps and needs some game action and get back into some conditioning shape.
Okay, so he's about to start playing. So he's not just going down to get. I guess it's just his face. It's not a knee. Okay, all right. No, that's exciting. I didn't realize that he had started that. So that is good news. Okay, all right. So so you talked about, this is the Jahmai Jones kid. The kid the one recurring thing I'm seeing is that we are starting to collect pitching. We'll talk about the Jake Rogers, trade as well. But so this is the guy coming from Boston, Jojo Igracia, and I don't know I haven't looked into him too much, but not bad. If you look at his his overall numbers, he's headed to West Michigan, but 2.56 ERA overall. 3.27 this year, so pretty solid numbers. He was 180. Pitched in 21 games, so pretty good sample size. 185. Hey, not mad at that. But yeah, they're definitely trying to stockpile some pitching, which is good to see. This guy's a lefty, so
yeah.
24 years
not terribly
old.
Big, 6 foot 170. Not terribly big.
Yeah, pretty slight of build. I don't know how hard he throws or anything like that. My computer is bugging. Don't pirate.
A good whip, good ERA. Go back to his if you can show him it. I just want to see. It looked like he had split lines for when he got promoted to high A in 2025. Oh, it was just the end. So he didn't pitch too much in 2025 last year. Interesting. Right?
What does it say? Oh, 4 games. Yeah, so he must have been hurt last year.
He must have been hurt, but numbers were still good. And then he came back this year in high A, and 11 games started, 2 relief appearances. Those are solid. What's his strikeout to walk here? 59 to so 3, not quite 3-1, just under 3-1. That's not bad. A good average.
Yeah, because 22,
those are
3
good
times,
numbers, man.
66.
Those show some promise.
Oh, and look at the opponent
too, man.
Look at the opponent. Yeah, he's facing a ton of righties, I'm sure. Opponent average 175, 195, 179. Oh yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, so I probably put him 24. You would think by without knowing how many full years of control they have left, I'm going to assume he's probably got 4 years. He's played this year in 2024 fully, unless they count last year. So I'd say 2 years, 2028 projected.
Yeah.
Especially with what happens after this year, I would assume that everyone's timeline is going to get bumped up arm-wise by a year at the minimum, if you're at AA or higher. But yeah, not bad. Not bad for Jake. So obviously a good defensive catcher.
That's for Jahmai.
Very good framer. Oh, Jahmai. Sorry. Yeah. Never mind. Sorry. Let me walk that back. This looks like a mini fleece.
Right. Hey, I'm
for sure once we're on the right side of it.
I don't know. Hey, Jahmai. Hey, and now that Mead got hurt, I think that's opens back up some opportunities for him, as a righty bat, so
hey, we get a lefty pitcher that can pitch against righties and lefties. Jahmai Jones is a quarter player. Can't play defense.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've already cleared in anything as far as a replacement with Eduardo Valencia. So, we win there, or Hayuli, however you want to slice it. But the next trade is was the Jake Rogers one, which he got DFA'd over this week. It was before the Baltimore series.
It was the 28th. It was Monday night after the first Baltimore game. That Monday night they DFA'd him.
Okay.
They didn't announce until the next day.
So we got a guy by the name of Zane Barnhart, who is a right-handed pitcher. He's also 24 years old, and he's went to college actually from Baltimore, because Towson, Maryland's pretty close to Baltimore, from what I know. But went to college in Michigan, so he's got some connections to Michigan, West Michigan, and now he'll be playing in Erie with the Seawolves. Another guy that his career numbers look pretty solid, 3.45 ERA. A lot of decisions. He's had 20 decisions already this year. But Oh no, that's his career. I'm tripping. That's his career. I'm tripping. 2-3 this year, but overall his ERA is 3.45. Once again, another guy that I haven't really looked into the scouting reports as far as what his pitch mix is and all that, but as far as his numbers, strikeout to walk ratio, about 2-1, a little over 2-1. Opponent batting average 200, 217, 182. Once again, well, I guess everybody's average. Nobody hits for average anymore. But I don't know, at the minor league level,
those are good numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, the whip is the one thing that, yeah, sure. After the first year, what goes from 205 to 1.2 range. That's the only thing I think that's giving him that high ERA is the fact that he's probably giving up some singles that are followed up by like a bomb, right? Because it's not a walk. It could be a walk, but it's not a bad ratio. 2-1 is your standard, and he's a little better than that. So unless those walks are the bulk of what's coming around to score for a home run or an extra base hit, not bad overall though.
Yeah, so we don't have any guys that are just so bad that it's like, yeah, what are we really going to do with them? I mean, I think the pitcher with the worst numbers that we've got so far is Brady Smith from the Dodgers, but he's 21. We know we're not going to see him for quite some time, but some of these other guys could possibly be be in the mix for the foreseeable future. Nobody that just looks completely unplayable. So that's that. What other trades do you want to touch on?
Yeah, so we've had a handful. I feel like the deadline started a little bit early this year. Throughout the last 2 weeks of July, there's been quite the ramp up. Almost every day, there's been some type of trade. So post Jemai going to Boston the 14th, on the 15th, Milwaukee received. This was probably the biggest one up until Scooble last night. Milwaukee received former World Series champion starting pitcher Lance McCullers, lefty pitcher Colton Gordon, and cash considerations from Houston for outfield prospect Jaden Fielder. On the 18th, the Cubs acquired pitcher Aaron Savale, I believe he's a starter, from the A's, who received back pitching prospect Aiden Moffett. On the 20th, the Dodgers agreed in terms with Colorado for pitcher Seth Halvorsen. Colorado received outfield prospect Landon Vidorek and pitching prospect Nick Frasso. On the 22nd, Kansas City and Houston agreed. Kansas City acquired Nate Pearson, pitcher, and Houston required pitching prospect Max Martin. 23rd, the Phillies received pitching prospect Ron Martinaccio, and San Diego received a money towards their international bonus pool signings, which I thought was interesting considering the CBA expiring at the end of the year. I'm not really sure how that's going to play into the new one, as I think the initial proposal earlier in June was just an elimination of the pool and fully allowing international players into the entry-level draft, which hadn't been the situation beforehand due to schooling and whatnot. But more on that later on. On the 25th, Boston, as you alluded to, acquired infield Curtis Mead. Washington received Connolly early, and promptly Curtis Mead breaks his hand on a hit by pitch and is out for the next month to month and a half for Boston, who continues to stay hot despite that. So that's kind of wild. After that, the Phillies same day acquired outfielder Cameron Meisner from Kansas City for cash considerations. The White Sox on the 26th acquired pitcher and former Tiger Jose Urquidy from Pittsburgh. They acquired pitching prospect Felix Doratio. On the 27th, Pittsburgh also got outfielder Jonathan Rodriguez from Baltimore for cash considerations. 29th, Texas Rangers acquired, interestingly, for depth, from the Angels, catcher Logan O'Hoppe and pitcher Chase Sliceth. And receiving, Angels get infield prospect Angel Arredondo. The 30th, Baltimore with Detroit. That was a Zane Barnhart portion to close that out. Minnesota quietly getting AJ Minter from the Mets. First divisional trade really of impact so far for the AL Central. And Mets received infield prospect Bruin Agbayani and infielder prospect Billy Amick. On the 31st, Minnesota also acquired Baltimore starter Dean Kramer, who pitched in Detroit this past week.
We killed him.
And he did, remember, went viral because he got traded the next
Can
day.
you see?
When he told Pete, did you see the ball? Because it didn't look like when he did the pickoff move that Pete wasn't moving at first. And then he was like, oh shit. And then it came in. But, I'm not going to go there and say that gesture caused him to get kicked off the team. Like,
I mean,
That's
Alonso
wild.
looked pretty pissed about it. He looked to the bench like, is this guy serious? Like,
well, shadows, Comerica Park at 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the summer. There's shadows out there. You never know. But despite that, the Baltimore received outfield prospect Yamnardo Reyes in return for that. As we move to August 1st, the Dodgers obviously with Detroit. We know who that entails. We won't go over that. But earlier in the evening, also, the Chicago White Sox pulled off equally or just below big trade for Seattle starting pitcher Luis Castillo. The Mariners are going to get prospects Seranthony Dominguez, outfield Nolan Jones, and catcher Boston Smith. Atlanta made a trade even earlier before that with Kansas City, adding some depth. Tiger killer and Scooble playoff killer Lane Thomas, outfielder. And left-handed pitcher Bailey Falter going to Atlanta. Kansas City receiving pitching prospect Lucas Braun, as well as lefty pitcher Carter Holton. We weren't done. Pittsburgh took a swing and got a deal done with the New York Yankees for Camilo Doval, some bullpen depth. Going back there as sorry, I lost my line here. Catcher Omar Alfonso and outfield prospect Luis Cruz. Milwaukee added some depth, and they were assigned to AAA from Cleveland, acquiring catcher Bo Naylor. So neither Naylor is no longer in Cleveland anymore.
Right.
And another guy who pitched against us in the postseason, Cody Hewer, who they acquired last year, and they turn around and flip him. Cleveland gets pitching prospect Craig Yoho and outfield prospect Blake Perkins. And I think you mentioned live, I haven't had a chance to look at it. There was another trade that went down in the last hour, right, with a pitcher. Do you
when the show started? So well, first and foremost, the White Sox deal. I don't know. It made, we all know that Luis Castillo at one time was a top of the rotation type guy. The White Sox needed some vets. They got some decent young starting pitchers, but I think that they're just hoping that they can maybe pull something, get, kind of resurge him a little bit, because he would be the most, experienced guy. And in exchange, they're dumping off Seranthony Dominguez, who's had a pretty bad year. Nolan Jones is like a fifth outfielder. But the Seattle probably gets the best future guy. That Boston Smith guy is like a catcher in AA, but he's got pretty good numbers, so he might develop into something. But for Seattle, it works out for them. They got a ton of starting pitching. Seranthony, they already have good back end bullpen guys, so they don't have to worry about him coming in and being the best, but ultimately that Boston Smith guy might be something. As far as, Camilo Doval, he's been bouncing around. He was in San Francisco last year. It was him and Bednar kind of came in to New York last year. So he's just kind of moving around again. But yeah, the newest trade that was announced right before the show started is Freddie Peralta, a guy that's he was in Milwaukee last year.
Traded from Milwaukee to the Mets this off season.
Right.
And then it was rumored maybe going back to Milwaukee. But I think that has a domino effect on Casey Mize.
Yes, because does that help the value we can get for him? Or obviously the Rays.
I don't think the value, it just eliminates a team because that
we can pin against them.
I think we would have avoided trying to trade into an American League team if we were trying to still maybe win.
Right.
But it's one less team, because with everything else now, I think it really just leaves Milwaukee and Atlanta as the only two legitimate suitors. There could be another team, fringe team, that comes in with, a similar level prospect back and says, hey, we want to take a shot. That could happen. But
maybe Baltimore. Baltimore's got they're still trying to They said
You're
that
gonna send him to an AL
Holiday
team?
and Mayo and some of those guys are.
I'm not saying if you're trying to win, I ain't sending him to an AL team. He's going strictly NL only.
Yeah,
Atlanta, that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Atlanta,
But
Milwaukee,
they
that's
have
unless
they
a wild
have the
card team.
farm to make it happen. I guess that was my thought process.
Hey, so far, if Scooble got two 100s fringe, depending on what you're looking at, some consider the other pitcher like top 90 to 100. I think you'll be lucky to get one top 100 for Casey, just because of his injury concern too, and his success pedigree is half as long as Scooble's, who's had a good last 3 years. We'll say we'll count this year, injury aside. Casey's only been hot for the last 18 months, really. 18 months, 24 months. That's about
it. 2 years, All-Star.
Yeah.
But take your pick, man. Who you want out of this farm system in Atlanta, man? I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with them, but obviously we're not going to get a top 5 guy as a rental. Not many outfielders, but maybe we can snag another pitcher. Owen Murphy, maybe he's in triple. What is he in AAA but won't be seen till 2028? That's interesting, but.
Yeah, I mean, you want someone with some size after the draft pick. Was it Fleeky, whoever we drafted the kid?
Yeah.
Look at Luke Skinner down there, single A, 6'7", 250. That's a big boy.
High A,
Jabba Chamberlain type vibes.
Right.
But obviously, like you said, without looking at some of the more in-depth stuff, he's 23, so I look at that again and say, pitching, I'm probably looking between 7 and 9, somewhere in there. I don't think we need another outfielder, honestly, considering the draft of shortstops and outfielders that we had. Pitching, I think, would continue to be the focus. But you got AAA there at 22 years old, somewhere in that 7 to 10 range, a pitcher, unless they think that Briggs McKenzie, or you throw in a sweetener like, hey, you want Torres too? A little depth with Ozzy Albies. You guys have been banged up. Marcio Dubon's been playing infield and outfield, even though Acuna is back now. Sean Murphy has been dead to the world all year for them. So you have Drake Baldwin doing a lot of catching, another stud catcher for the Braves. So I think pitching is I don't think they're going to part with too much high up, but they have enough in the top 11. I think they'll definitely part with at least one of those pitching prospects for Casey Mize.
Yep. And the Freddie Peralta deal, in exchange, the Mets received Aiden Smith, Gary Gilhill, and Emilyn Petre. So I don't know who, obviously they're just prospects. You'd have to do your own little. Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. Okay. I like the breakdown here. Let's pull it up here. We got, so Aiden Smith is the Rays number 15 prospect. Gary Gilhill is the 26, and Petre is number 27. So
wow.
They're
okay.
So, I mean, nobody in the top 15, but 3 guys. I mean, if we can get 3 guys for Mize or something,
Hey, Peralta, former Cy Young candidate, like, I think he's kind of a little bit of a different level than Casey.
Different level, but he was terrible this year.
They're still paying. That's the weird thing. It's a double standard. I totally agree with you because I'm going to set it up this way. They say, what have you done for me lately in business? Well, in a case like Milwaukee, which is similarly operated to a team like Detroit now, thanks to Chris Ilitch, they think longevity in terms of spend, not just spend to create the impact on your record now. And they've done a good job of it. They don't really spend too much money. Brian Woodruff, bad contract extension. He took a shot. He's been out all year. Won't be ready till mid next year. And then Christian Yelich is the only other long-term contract they've really, committed to in the last really 8 years. So Milwaukee knows how to do it.
So ask yourself, if you're out here, you need a starting pitcher, a top of the rotation, mid to top of the end rotation. What would you give up for a pitcher who was an all-star last year? He's healthy right now. 2.70 ERA. Not too many of those guys available right now. Keeping the ball on the ground, tons of weak contact. He's attacking the strike zone. And look at the whiff number. Look at the K rate and the whiff rate. I mean, that's not really his game, you know.
Well, if you look at the rotation as a whole this year, even Montero had never really been, and all of a sudden, same thing at the same time I'm with Mize, strikeout to walk ratio. I think Montero cut his walks down in half and tripled his strikeout rate. And Mize has been right there in lockstep with him and Skubal in terms of chase rate. Now you throw Melton in. It's kind of not a surprise. They've been feeding off each other like that. So I would say I would want, similar to the Skubal deal, I want one arm that's borderline major league ready now just to help with my 26 man. And then I want a top I need a top 25 because the chance that he's going to get signed somewhere. And I wouldn't be surprised when all things are said and done with the new CBA that if Mize gets signed first, even if it's Detroit, before Skubal gets signed for his big deal, because that's going to take way more time and, frankly, construction for the terms that he wants compared to Casey. And I don't know, Casey might want that kind, but he ain't going to get it.
Yeah, he's going to have to stay healthy for a full year. But hey, 14-6 last year. The peripheral, the peripheral stats look real attractive. Hey, and he's in the prime. He hasn't had that, he hasn't had the major arm issues. Mostly it's been his groin and his hamstrings. But 29 years old, kind of in that now prime. This is his time to go out and get it. So, hey, I would love to have him back. Homegrown guy, number 1 pick, and homegrown guy, number 1 pick, and he's been at the top of our rotation the last couple of years. So, veteran present for sure. He's 30 years old. That's a grown man right there. So
yeah.
But that's that, man. Any other? So the Guardians traded away, because who did they go out and get a pitcher for Naylor and them? I think they went out and they fetched like another. That was kind of a nothing trade.
Well, it was a benefit for Milwaukee. They were looking to fill some depth ahead of the playoffs. Probably when the roster expands by 2 for the playoffs, they've got a backup for Contreras essentially, and you've got some added player positional depth too. So it's just whether or not they're going to pull the trigger.
I think they brought back Perkins, right? I think the Guardians brought back Blake Perkins.
Yes, they did. Yeah,
yeah. Basically, defensive. I think he's more of a defensive type guy.
Kind of a journeyman outfielder.
Wrong, Blake.
Boy, Milwaukee got him instead of Naylor. Boy, they didn't need Skubal.
So yeah, strong arm, can't hit. Yeah, he said 157. Yeah, that's a nothing move. As far as picking him up. So, any other trade stuff before we get it? Well, we're an hour and some change. We knew it was going to be a little bit longer with the trades and stuff like that. But any other trade talk that you want to get into before we?
Luis Arias still continues to be a hot name. I mean, the Mason Miller ask price seems ridiculous. They want 3 major league ready players now. Good luck. Skubal wasn't even 3 major league ready now players. I know
for
Mason
who? Right? For Arias? Or for Mason Miller?
And I know he's got 2 or 3 years of team control, but he's already been converted from a starter to a bullpen guy. So I don't know how much more yo-yoing he's going to keep doing to fit, the next club system. But those 2 continue to be hot names. George Kirby, starting pitcher for the Mariners, another name they're actively shopping. Atlanta's going to be a buyer somewhere. And given the history with Detroit, they make trades every so often. That's still a very real probability. And of course, people keep saying, oh, well, Milwaukee, similar to the Johan Santana deal, stayed within the Central to switch leagues from Minnesota to Milwaukee. Eugenio Suarez could end up being a cheap buy somewhere. I know he's having a down year, but the Reds got to be looked to be sellers at some point too. I've heard they're open to hearing initial offers for Ellie De La Cruz even. Now, I don't know how serious that is, but they're at least keeping an open ear. So.
Boston What happened? I think there was talks. There was just talks about with Boston, but I think
Yeah.
Boston didn't want to part with whatever.
Yeah, like you pulled it up. Good night. Adley Rutschman's been attached to a few teams now recently. I know we talked about it post All-Star break, catching with his former college pitcher and Drew Rasmussen with the Rays. But the Yankees just apparently put their hat in the ring for Adley as of last night too. So as we're coming down here to literally the last 26 hours, we approach a 4:00 hour ahead of tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard deadline. Yeah, there's a lot left to be there. Hunter Goodman would be a weird one. Otto Lopez, if you've done a good job monitoring his breakout year this year, he's a stud. And they've fallen off the last 10, 11 games. They've gone 1-9, 2-8, something like that. So they've fallen out of wild card contention. Yeah, there's a lot that can happen. There's not too many teams that have been committed to full selling right now. And as each game goes by today and tomorrow, I mean, you're going to have a flurry. I feel like I expect like another half dozen deals to be made between now and tomorrow night. That might be an understatement. Could be upwards of 10 more deals. So
yeah, the two popular teams that they've linked to being sellers is the Giants and the Angels, and they've neither one of them done anything outside of the Angels trading Ohapi. Other than that, Chapman hasn't moved, Lee hasn't moved, Devers is probably not going to get moved.
Logan Webb might be the only one out of San
Webb.
Francisco because he's not a heavy-handed salary like you mentioned. Those other guys, big, and we talked about it. You brought it up a few weeks ago about the possibility of getting Devers. I'm like, that contract is a Miggy like handcuff killer.
Yeah, but his drama. But he's young though. He's 27.
Dude is
or something like that.
Put it this way, I would rather take Manny Ramirez and his shenanigans than Rafael Devers and what I've seen from him just in the last 2 years of on-field play. And it has nothing to do with off-field. The on-field shenanigans, like, no. And then the refusal not to go back to first base after he was DH. I'm like,
he rakes, though. He is.
Another lefty bat we don't necessarily have room for.
It's true, but that's Rafael Devers. We haven't had a player of his caliber since Miggy.
If I'm paying money for a first baseman / DH, I'm giving it to the polar bear. If we're talking names, top names, I'm giving it to him. I'm giving it to Schwarber. He's making similar AAV. Just saying.
Could have paid the polar bear. He's making more than making as much as Valdez, right?
That's great. Oh my God.
$50 million.
If we had him over Framber, we'd be buyers. We'd be full-time buyers.
Oh, we would be cooking with gas right now.
We'd be in the divisional lead. Probably not by too much because I'm not going to take away a lot of success from Chicago and Cleveland, although they beat us a little bit. We haven't seen them too much. We will in the next month. But, yeah, we probably be, I'd say, I'm going to just off the top of my head, I'm going to say, without looking at his WAR and all that, wins above replacement, I'm going to say we'd probably be about 6 to 8 wins better, and that might be conservative.
Yeah, because we've got pitching, so that's been the least of our worries is starting pitching anyway. So, real quickly, we're an hour and 23 minutes. We knew it was going to be a little bit longer of a show. What we got come up for the rest of this West Coast swing, and we'll wrap it. We want 90 minutes. We'll wrap it up in 90 minutes.
So they have they'll have an off day tomorrow. They'll fly down to Seattle. And what's scheduled to be the my start will probably be TBD if he gets dealt. So we'll have a lot of TBDs going forward. So that against Hancock. Wednesday will be Troy Melton against Ryan Wu. Thursday will be bullpen day against Miller. Then they will turn around and play 3 in San Francisco. Framber Valdez Friday night against Trevor Male. Montero on Saturday against Rope. And then Sunday will be either Mize or TBD against Logan Webb or TBD. With a sneak peek ahead as they come back, they will then start a heavy divisional stretch the rest of the way, starting with 3 at home after an off day against Cleveland, and then quick turnaround 3 more against the White Sox into town. But with those 2 series, I think 5 out of the next series will be between divisional opponents and the Yankees. So after this West Coast trip, it will not get any easier for this new reshaped roster as we expect it to be after the 6 p.m. deadline on Monday. And as you stated, 5.5 game back in the division, only 2.5 back of the second wild card, but 5 teams. Foster, right now, before the deadline tomorrow, do the Tigers snag a wild card spot? Yes or no?
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yeah. I mean, obviously, we got to see who else is leaving, who else is coming back, because the team could look a little different. I mean, Drew Anderson. I mean, we might start selling off just some wild names: Jansen, Anderson, Finnegan, maybe. I hope. Yeah. So the team could look a lot different. The bullpen is a hot mess. It's not going to get much better, but Jackson Jobe did have another rehab start. I had it, but it's gone. But I think he had I know he had 5 Ks, couple earned runs, but he's about ready to come back. So that's going to be one addition to our pitching staff. But yeah, these young guys are going to get to see some pretty nasty pitchers coming up in Seattle between Wu, Miller, Kirby. I mean, that's not going to be fun, but hey, that's why they're here to take those lumps and see what it's about. So they don't have a ton of tape on them either. So it's going to be it's going to be a battle. So
we're catching them on a downslide. They're 3-8 in their last 11 games, and a lot of the Seattle faithful and some of the booth have noted that past week, they've looked a little deflated in the dugout, a little lackluster. So if we can jump on that and roll that into the San Francisco series, boy, we could be creating some chaos. Now, I say that from it is an opportunistic chance, but realistically, don't expect much to do them much in the playoff if they get in. Beyond the wild card round, not much.
Yeah. But if we can sell and still get in, hey, it's somewhat of a win. Obviously, we had a window of the best pitcher in baseball. That if there was ever a window to make something happen, that would have been it. But hey, let's stay relevant because we had some terrible teams for a while. So
let's get up on JV being in the dugout and watching that happen as it happened to him almost 10 years ago. Yeah. That is creepily ironic.
Full circle moment for sure.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the channel. We are 20 subs away on Bleachers to Speakers from 500. But shoot us a follow on Corner to Copa as well, because we're turning up with a lot of shorts and breaking news as it occurs. And of course, we're going to give you some more shorts and breaking news regarding the upcoming trades, because there will be more trades, I would assume. So, but we're not going to hold you any longer. We're about 10 minutes or so from the first pitch, and we are 90 minutes into a show. So subscribe. We'll be back real soon. If something crazy happens, we'll be live. And appreciate everybody for tuning in. We out of here.
Get your lick back. If a nigga do something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat.